How's everybody doing, and welcome to the fish room. Today we're talking about breeding guppies and my new approach on how to breed these guppies. So we're in the fish room here today. I have around 43 aquariums and probably 20, half of them, if not more, all contain guppies between breeding pairs, grow outs, fry, all that good stuff. So just recently I've kind of had a new breakthrough in my opinion on how to breed these guppies for color, things like that, and my new approach on it. I've made kind of a list here of things I want to go through and kind of talk about. We're definitely going to take a look at these guppies while I'm talking and kind of bounce around, but my approach and everybody's approach on breeding guppies is you have to create a certain color of a fish. So whether you're breeding, typically, unless you're just throwing them in a tank, letting them breed, you just be kind of randomness, you eventually get mutts, you get a lot of different genetics, which is still really cool. It's fun, and that's kind of what I'm starting to get towards, where I want to create a variety of guppies. So I don't want to say I'm being lazy, because there always has to be a goal in mind. So I definitely am still selectively breeding my guppies. I don't just throw them in there, see what I get. I'm always creating new generations where I'm specifically selecting the males and the females, and I have a goal in mind. Whether that be I want to have a perfectly solid red fish and be all the same, 100% true, and they're all the same exact fish, and just kind of maintaining the strain, which there's nothing wrong with, and I've been doing that for a while, and that's always been the goal. And sometimes you get different results along the way. Whenever you're working with the strain, you're trying to improve them, but enjoy the process. Don't always fight it. So say you're breeding, I have these purple Delta guppies. We'll take a look at those, and they've turned into one of my favorite fish. Guppies overall are my favorite species, probably by far. I have a lot of favorites, but guppies overall, if I only could keep one species of fish, guppies would be that one. But my purple deltas are breeding really nice. They're starting to get some color in their tails, and I've actually selectively bred some of them. I'm calling my purple painted delta guppies. Delta just meaning kind of like a squared off tail. It's not rounded, it's long, and it kind of squares off. So that's what the delta gene really means. And I'm getting a lot of cool babies and new adults out of that project, so we'll take a look at those. And kind of what I want to get to talk about with this video is everybody just kind of take a step back. You go to the pet store, you want to go buy your fish, whether you're looking for guppies, you're looking for something. I used to work in a pet store. I would always hear the question, I want something different, or where are the different fish or the rare fish? And if there was a section for those kind of fish, there wouldn't be a section in the store for them, because all these fish are around for hundreds of thousands of years, and if there was something new, it would only be new for a week or two, and then it would be kind of old news. There's no really new fish or rare fish out there. I mean, to the exception, there are some things, but commonly available in the hobby. You're not going to walk into a pet store and find something that, oh, that's a different fish. And if you do, it's not going to last long, because eventually they buy a bunch of them, they sell 50, 100 of those fish, and now they're kind of more common in your area at least. But guppies are one of those fish I think are constantly being that something different fish. Meaning they can have so many colors, so many different body shapes. Guppies are almost like a snowflake, where every single one can be a little bit different from their color and their body, especially when you get into the fancy guppies, which I really am starting to like a lot. And fancy just because they're so different in their color. Everyone has a different pattern, and you can just get some really amazing fish in the outcome. So kind of as a buyer or a breeder, whenever you're breeding your fish and you're selling them, say for example you want to breed the red deltas and you start breeding them, it's going well, you've been spending a lot of time, you've been calling all the different colors that you don't want, and now you have a perfect red fish. The average person's only going to buy a trio, maybe 6 or 10 of them at most. And if they have good success, which they should have good success if your fish are healthy, those fish will get populated, and you're going to have a ton of the same looking fish, which is cool. And it's important for breeding to be able to have a strong strain that is true. You don't want to just keep crossing things until you can't really have any certain coloration to your fish. But I think I want to start breeding more for, there's always a goal in mind, like I said, but I want to breed for body shape, I want to breed for health, finnage, all that good stuff, and a certain color, whether it be purple, red, yellow, black, whatever kind of fish you have. But I want to work in some more variety of color or pattern. I want to have that snowflake effect on my guppies, where everyone's a little bit different. They're really fun to work with, and whatever you recreate, you can look in the tank and you can tell the fish apart. Whether they're all very similar, you can look at two side by side and you can kind of tell the personality and the characteristics of each fish being a little bit different. And I think that's what I and most people kind of lose in the guppies, where that's where my true passion kind of started, being a young kid breeding guppies in an aquarium, trying to create really cool colors, buying new females and males and add to my genetics in the tank. I think that's what we need to do as a hobby, because that's what I really enjoy, is finding something new in every generation, still trying to improve the fish. I want my fish to be hardy. I don't do anything really special for my guppies, because whatever I keep them at, or whatever you guys have them at, I want them to live for me and for you. If I can keep a tank perfectly clean, sterile, healthy fish, but as soon as you buy them, they don't do well in your water, what's really the point? I mean, what are we doing here? So I want to be able to create good, healthy fish. And I mean, if you're looking for guppies, I do have a website, biancosfish.com. I'm working on the website right now, editing things. So it's still in the works, but all my contact information's there. Some old pictures, and I'm ready to update it, like I said. Let's go ahead and actually start looking at these fish, and ultimately I'll talk about each strain. But ultimately, my goal is to make the most colorful, beautiful, hardy guppy possible. So that's always been the goal, but I was always trying to copy what other people are doing, breed certain strains I thought people had that other people would want that I could kind of work on. But if you want to be successful and you want to be different, you have to have something different. So to just breed my guppies and have the certain colors where they're all the exact same, I want to start having a variety in those tanks, making them very colorful and creating my own strains. So let's go ahead and take a look at them, and we'll kind of explain each fish and what the goals are for them. Before we dive in and look at the certain tanks of guppies, here's kind of a little overlook on the fish room. I built these racks over here, and I have a couple random tanks. That 155's in the wall. They're all run by air. The room is heated, and I filter by sponge filters. I carry anything from 10 gallons up to 55s with 20s, 40s, and 29s in between. But we're going to go ahead and take a look. I have 4 different strains of guppies, being my purple painteds, my yellow half blacks, my reds, and my fancy guppies. Here we have a tank of males kind of up close. Figure I'd just talk over while these guys are swimming around. Bit of a glare. And we're going to go through, look at some of the pairs and the babies and the goal for each fish. Here we have a trio of my red guppies. There's the male and 2 females. Ultimately, I'm trying to get more color in the female, so I'm trying to get that color to creep up their spine and be in their top fin. And the males, I'm not really picky. I'm working on getting a more squared off tail, which I've had trouble with over a while, and I get some variety of color. We'll take a look at some of the babies, because I was trying to create this perfect squared off tail guppy with solid red, and it's definitely possible. I've done it for a while, but they've started to mix as I was working more on the females. So let's take a look at some of the babies that are growing out, and they're still awesome fish. So I don't really want to fight having this solid red fish, because it's one of those things, once you achieve that goal, I don't think there's anywhere else you can really take the fish. So I want to work on adding some more color, and my fancy guppy project, my purples that we're going to show coming next, are more of my exciting strains, but we're still going to show these guys because they're awesome fish, and you got to have a little bit of red in the guppies. So I have 4 different colors that I have available, and these are some of the breeders for them. This is a different tank that I'm growing out, different project, still the reds, but as you can see, some of the males in here have a lot of like cobra or snake skin in their body, more of like a cobra pattern. But I honestly like it more than the solid reds. For a long time, I got kind of annoyed when I would get this outcome. I was just trying to create solid reds, and they kept getting mixed. The harder I tried, and I'm sure people have more pure strains where if I started over and I bought them from them, I could do that. But I'm starting to really enjoy these guys, and I've now had all of my strains for 2 to 3 years of breeding these guys. So they're all used to my water. I know they're hardy. I know how I keep them. But look at these guys. Whenever they turn sideways, I think that color is just so cool, and that's my favorite thing. This is the male that I was trying to recreate and get a bunch of these red deltas. Beautiful solid red fish, but to be honest, if I had 6 in a tank, I wouldn't know which one was which. These guys here, every one's a little bit different, and I think that's more enjoyable fish to look at. So I'm trying to create both, but I'm really not trying to fight these colors now. I'm just kind of embracing it. I want to have red fish, but if they have different pattern, things kind of creep in there. I'm not going to be lazy and let them mix. I'll probably have a tank of these guys in the future breeding, where it's kind of a red cobra, and then still work with my red deltas because I don't want to let them mix too much. But just enjoy the process of breeding your guppies. You'll have your different outcomes, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Long as they're not having crooked backs, the fish aren't weak and dying for no reason, anything like that. Long as the fish are healthy, they have nice body shape, good backs, good finnage, things like that. You're still trying to improve them. I want more squared off tails, longer tails. But some of the colors, I'm kind of done trying to fight it, and I'm actually enjoying it more. So these are kind of my red guppies, and I'm not really going to put a name on all these guys. On my website, I'm going to have just red guppies, yellow guppies, purple guppies, assorted or like rainbow guppies, whatever you want to call it. But I don't really feel the need to put a name on these guys that much anymore. And if you totally disagree, I'm sorry, but guppies are kind of a cheap, easy fish to breed, and I think that's what people are looking for. I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's my new approach, guys. Let me know if you agree and if you like these fish, but I think these red guys with the pattern are so nice, and they're kind of one of a million versus these reds that are really nice. But if you had 100 in a tank, I think people kind of get bored of them versus the ones with all the colors. So that's me personally. These are the fish where if I was in a store, I'd probably pick this guy out over the solid red because he's just different, and not one's going to be exactly the same. Here we have some of my yellow half black guppies, or like a yellow tuxedo. These are one of the fish that I'm really trying to not mix. I want to have a pure strain of these guys, but every once in a while I'm not here. I've had them throw some really cool colors where they almost have like a black and yellow tail with different pattern, which I think is really cool. And even some here, like this guy right here, has the yellow in his body. I don't know, I think it's awesome. I mean, but this is one of the fish I'm probably going to keep more of a pure strain. I want to have those yellow half blacks because really these are one of my favorite pure strains of guppies. But certain things where I'm going to have yellow in the body, I don't want to fight it too much. And I want to have just a big yellow fish with a squared off tail. Because even now, I mean, this has been my goal for so long to recreate these yellow half blacks. And they're breeding pretty true now. And I'm still going to continue that, but I'm not going to really fight if I have these yellow, say their whole body becomes yellow, but it's still yellow and black, and they have a squared off tail. I don't see anything wrong with that. I've even had a couple of these guys in my other tanks that have like orange tails. Obviously, I don't want to crossbreed them, but I think they're still an amazing fish where you have like a half black guppy, and the color can kind of vary. To an extent, you can't do that for long, but if you're breeding things or you're getting multiple outcomes, I don't see anything wrong with that. This is probably my most pure strain that I want to kind of keep this way. But like I said, there was a couple males that had more yellow in their body and not all just black with the yellow tail. And sometimes I honestly think they look a little bit better. Like this guy right here, I think he in the middle that's chasing that female might even look cooler than the yellow half black. Like these are more impressive, it's harder to do. But that one guy, I'm not sure where he went. I just think it's a super cool fish, like this guy here. Sorry if it'll focus for us and he stops jolting around. I think that might be kind of a cooler fish. We might kind of get like a camo of black on him and maintain the yellow color. So things like that, just something to take into consideration. I think that fish is really cool. And whenever they still have a good tail, good body shape, and they're still maintaining the yellow, but the pattern varies, I'm not sure if I still want to kind of fight that process. He's got color in his side fins. He's got the yellow, a little bit of black in him. So really cool fish, I think, and we're going to keep looking around. But I don't know if like next time I breed this type of guppy, if that'll be my breeder male or if I'll pick more your typical yellow half black. I like them all, and I kind of like the variety now because every time they breed, you have something new to work with, and there's still a goal. I want yellow guppies with big squared off tails that are healthy. So whether their black is on their body or if it's kind of blotched out, I don't know if I really care as much about it anymore, because the ones that look different, actually I get more excited about and I'm kind of curious to work with. So let me know what you guys think, comment below please. But we're gonna take a look at my last two strains. Here's a trio of my fancy guppies. Still not really sure what to call these guys, but this is kind of where it all started. I have a few different tanks of these guys I'm breeding. To be honest, they're my favorite tanks I have. So the male had a squared off tail. I think one of the females took a bite out of him. But if you get a glimpse of his side, I think that fish is so cool. He's got the snake skin on his side, kind of a cobra tail. The females are super colorful. And these guys are still young, but they have color in their top and back fin. I want to work on bringing it up through their body if possible. And I love it because every time they have babies, every single male is awesome and they're all a little bit different. So I have like 4 or 5 tanks of these guys, and this one probably had the best lighting. So just take a look at that male, and he looks so cool. Every generation I get a little bit nicer colors and the fins get a little bit better. So that's the goal, the most colorful guppy I can possibly create with the nicest finish. So I'm not working on yellow, blue, orange, whatever is the most colorful and the nicest male that I have. Whenever they're at a young age, I separate them, let them grow up a little bit more, and then I'll have a male and female tank. I'll pick out 1 or 2 of my nicest males and 2 to 4 of my nicest females and start new tanks. And I've been doing that for a while now, and it's just been giving me really cool outcomes when I didn't start with anything crazy. A lot of these fish I got just from the pet store, or I kind of crossed them with some of my pure strains and I worked from there. So really cool, really rewarding, because these fish really are my own creation. And same for you guys, whatever you buy, whether you buy fish from me, someone else, once you start breeding these guys, after 2 generations of breeding them, they're no longer the fish you purchased, they're your own creation. Whether you made the strain better or worse, they're not really going to be the same fish you bought unless you're doing everything the same exact way as the breeder. These are my purple painted Delta Guppies. Not the best example, but they had decent lighting on them, so we'll take a look at them. For the purple Deltas and my fancy Guppies, we're going to look at 2 or 3 of the tanks, as long as we can take a good look at them. But they're some of my favorite strains. This isn't a real good example, but still really nice fish, so not to down talk them at all. But when I got these guys, they were pretty solid purple, a little bit darker. They would throw light and dark purple guppies, and they really didn't have much blotching in their side. I started to get a variety of color in their tail. Not a lot in this male, but see the end has a little bit lighter blues in there and kind of a different effect. And on his body, he's got that dark purple and some orange spots. He kind of got away in the glare for us, but that's really cool. I think the solid purples are nice, but similar to the red deltas, where after you got a bunch of them, they're all kind of the same thing and they weren't really unique anymore. So I've been working on getting more color, still maintaining the purple, that type of tone, and the squared off tails. And the females, I'm trying to get more color in the tail, where none of them have a clear tail. Right now it's kind of like a blackish purple. Try to get a little bit of speckling in there. I have some tanks where the females do have more color in their tail, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at those guys now. This tank I'm really excited about. You can see the female has some of that color in her tail. Not super dark, but she's got like some yellows or greens in there with the purple. Super cool. There's another female hanging out in the back. She has a little bit of like pattern to her, but right now it just looks like it's purple, so nothing too crazy. She might be having babies soon because she's kind of just hanging out in the corner. Maybe I'll add some more floating plants. And this male here, it's gonna be hard to see because I don't have any lights on my top aquariums, but his color is super cool. So see if we can get a look on him without freaking him out too much. Probably not. It's always kind of the way it goes when you're recording. These fish are best seen when you see them in person, but let's see if he calms down with the light on him. And you already can kind of see, get an idea of the color on this guy, but super cool. More of that painted purple, what I'm calling, where he has splashes of different color in his tail. Really unique pattern. And every single male that I picked from, like his brothers, they all could have been breeders, but he was my favorite. His tail is still nice. I like this color a whole lot, and hopefully I can do more highlight videos on each one of these strains. But this is, I think, a pretty good example of these purple painteds. Let's look at 1 or 2 tanks of the fancy guppies. This is another tank of my fancy guppies, and it's really exciting right now because I'm just starting to spot 1 or 2 males in here that are really cool, and I'm excited to watch them grow up. Here's one of the adult females and some of her babies around us. You can see her color. I know it's kind of dark up here. Whenever I pull the light out, it makes it a little bit worse. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to try to just see them as best as we can. There's the other female, and these guys under a good light look amazing. There's the male. He had a ton of color. I wish his tail was a little bit better, but really cool color from whenever I was selecting them. And here are some of the babies to it. So this male right here, and it's not focusing it for us. I really should sit down and get a better light on him. But this guy is really cool. We might get a couple glimpses of his color. He's more yellow, but his pattern is just awesome. And he's still really young. He's probably around 2 to 3 months old. And there's another male right here, super long top fin. And the side of the color on him is just really cool. Like I said, I'm gonna do some highlight videos, I think, with each species. But his scaling is really cool, and I'm not even getting a good shot on him. But the guy just started left. I think I'm gonna go back and get a light on this tank and do a highlight on my fancy guppies, because it's getting dark and the camera just won't focus on them. So sorry about that, but we'll just kind of talk from further back. Whenever I move less and I'm further back, you actually can see them a little bit more. But watching these guys develop and be like, wow, that next fish is gonna look amazing. I think that's half the excitement in breeding these fish and working with the colors and kind of creating your own strains. So that's why I really enjoy these fancy guppies. And those 2 males there, they're just unbelievable, even though I can't get a good shot of them. But I hope these guys grow up to be really nice, and I can kind of make my next generation of breeders and have my F3, F4 of my fancy guppy project. We'll look at one more tank and we'll kind of wrap this video up for the day. So we're down here on the floor. I'm not going to move the camera. I'm going to try to get the guppies to move into our shot. But this is another tank of my fancy guppies, and this is one I'm really excited about. I picked out 2 different trios, trying to get them to come over to the shot. I think they're going to be here in a second. 2 really nice males, and I think I have 4 or 6 females in here with some babies. The males have just the most unique color, and every one is a little bit different. The ones back here, I had them better on camera before I hit record, but they have so much color in their body. Their top fin is starting to get long. It's kind of starting to turn around and grow longer. So excited about that. I always want to do more guppy videos, but they're just kind of frustrating to record and film just because they're constantly moving. Even whenever you have a great camera and you're up close, it's hard to get a good shot of these guys. But you can kind of see those 2 males there and the females. All of them have their own little bit of color, and that's been the goal, to get the most colorful guppy with long fins. They're still a little bit jagged at the end, but it's so cool. I mean, this one guy here is like a little mini betta fish, and I'm just so excited about them. They have babies in here, so we're going to keep growing them out, working on the color of these guys. And I know we're fighting the glare. It's a little bit frustrating with just the quality of the camera here. But these guys are so cool, and even just with the blur of color, I think you guys can get the idea of how cool these guppies are. And I'm just excited to be working with them, and I'm excited I changed my mind of breeding a certain color fish for a certain amount of time, and I was just kind of annoyed and I wasn't as into it as I was before. But guppies like this is what kind of always started me in the hobby, where I went into the store and I saw really colorful guppies, and this is kind of the fish that I've always liked the most. So hope you guys agreed. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know I kind of jumped around. Most of my videos do that. I don't edit a lot. I just kind of share what's going on in the fish room. But I just wish you guys were here in person to see how cool these fish look. Check out my website at biancosfish.com. Text or email me directly, and we can kind of take pictures of the fish, send you some videos if you want to place an order. I also breed German blue rams, bristlenose plecos, and I'll have some angelfish here in the future. But all my fish I breed for good health, hardiness, and obviously color. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out some of my other videos. About to hit 3,000 subscribers, if not already. So thank you all for that. Thank you for watching. The channel for me has grown a lot more than I ever expected, even though it's still a pretty small channel. I was making videos when I got 5 or 10 views, and I thought that was still pretty cool to share with people. Now I get a couple hundred views, sometimes a couple thousand, and I just really appreciate that, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the channel. Give me some ideas of what you want to see next. Do you want to see highlight videos where I catch these guys out, put them in certain lighting, maybe try to see them a little bit better? What are your ideas? Because I'm always looking for stuff to film. If I don't have a plan, I'll kind of just, if something happens that's kind of cool, I think, I'll share with you guys. Thanks again. Wrap it up. Check out the videos at the end of this, and please subscribe if you're not already. Thank you all, and have a good one.